Welcome to this week's Hebrew class, and thank you for joining us. And again, we are going to the book of John in Hebrew, and today's portion will be chapter 19, verses 31 to 35. So let us begin. And we, of course, have the Nakud Vav markings with useful resources to help anyone who's just began this journey. So we are beginning at verse 31, and we can see it's represented with a lamed, value of 30, and a left value of 1, being the first letter of the alphabet. And we will go through the letters. Vav, Hey, Yod, Hey, Vav, Dalet, Yod, Mem Sefit, Aleph, Mem, Resh. Vav, Lamed, Aleph, Yod, Lamed, Yod, Nun, Vav, Hey, Pei, Gimel, Resh, Yod, Mem Sefit. Ayin, Lamed, Hey, Zadeh, Lamed, Vav, Veyet. So let us read it. The Ha-Yahudim, and the Yehudim, the Jews. Amru, they said, lo not, Yalinu, they shall stay. If we look down here, helin is a verb to delay, to lodge, to stay. So it can be used to lodge, but it can also be used to stay. Ha-per-ga-rim, the corpses. And if you look down here, peger is a masculine noun which means corpse or carcass. And then we have al upon ha-seluv, the crucifixion. Upon the crucifixion. The Jews said the corpses should not remain on the crucifixion. And then I've given you also selav, which is the masculine noun meaning cross or crucifix. And then we have salav, which is a kol verb meaning to crucify. And so now it's time for us to read it. And it is Vaha-Yahudim Amru lo Yalinu Ha-Pegarim al Ha-Seluv. And the translation. And the Yehudim, they said, not they shall stay, the corpses, upon the crucifixion. And we come to 31b, and we have a Bet, Yod, Vav, Mem Sefit, Hey, Shin, Bet, Tav, Kaf, Yod, Ayin, Resh, Veyet, Shin, Bet, Tav, Hey, Yod, Hey, Vav, Gimel, Dalet, Vav, Lamed, Yod, Vav, Mem Sefit, Hey, Shin, Bet, Tav, Hey, Hey, Vav, and Aleph. So let's read it. Beyom, in the day. Ha-Shabbat, the Sabbath. Ki, for. Erev, the evening of Shabbat. Ha-Ya, it was. The Gadol, and great. Yom, the day. Ha-Shabbat, the Sabbath. Ha-Hu, that. And the translation, on the crucifixion, on the day of the Sabbath, since it was the evening of the Sabbath. And that day of Sabbath was great. As the translation would say, it was a high day, right? But most important, it is not necessarily the eve of the weekly Sabbath, but rather the Sabbath of the feast, just out of interest. Now we see down here we've got Erev, which is a masculine noun meaning evening or dusk. And then we have erev, which is a PL verb. It means to mix. Therefore, light and darkness. And that's how we get dusk or dawn, because it means to intermingle. So though it's used for evening, it just simply means the time when light and dark are mixed. And then we have the final one, which is arav, which is a kol verb, and it means to descend, to sink or wane, which of course is a reference to the sun. Right, so the translation, we're going to read it now so that we understand it and hopefully can read it accurately. And so it is Beyom ha-Shabbat ki erev Shabbat haya v'gadol yom ha-Shabbat ha-hu. Right, now the translation. The literal translation of this Hebrew is, in the day the Shabbat, for the evening of Shabbat it was, and great the day the Shabbat that. Okay, now we're in 31c, and we have a Vav, Yod, Shin, Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Mem, Nun Sofit, Pei, Yod, Lamed, Tet, Vav, Samek, Lamed, Shin, Bayet, Resh, Aleph, Tav, Shin, Vav, Kuf, Yod, Hey, Mem Sofit, Vav, Lamed, Hey, Vav, Resh, Yod, Dalet, Aleph, Tav, Mem Sofit. Now let's read that. Vayish alu, and they asked, because the word sha'al means to ask, and they asked. Therefore, the ending is they, right? And of course, it's a verb, and it has the prefix, the vav and the yod. And then we come in from Pilatos, which is Pilate. Le shaber, meaning to fracture. If we look down here at shaber, we see that it's a kol verb, to break, to shatter, to fracture. All right, and then we have et grammar marker shokehem, which is the shins of them, or their shins, is probably how mostly it's translated. And then we have ul horid, and to bring down, because of the prefix. So if we look down, it has its root in yarad, which is a kol verb, to descend, to go down, to decrease. But when it's horid, it's a verb to lower, to take down, to bring down. So it is, and to bring down. Otam, meaning them. And the English, of course, is, and that was a great Sabbath day, from the previous part. They therefore requested from Pilate to break their legs and to take them down. So now it is time for us to read that. And we read, Vayish alu min Pilatos le shaber et shokehem ul horid otam. And the translation, and they asked from Pilatos to fracture, grammar marker, the shins of them, or their shins, and to bring down them. And now we come to 32, represented with Lamed and a Veyet. Veyet being the second letter of alphabet. And we go through the letters. Vav, Yod, Veyet, Aleph, Vav, Aleph, Nun, Shin, Yod, Hey, Zade, Veyet, Aleph, Vav, Yod, Shin, Beyet, Resh, Vav, Aleph, Tav, Shin, Vav, Kuf, Yod, Hey, Aleph, Chet, Dalet. Now let's read. Vayavo'u, and they came. Anshe, men of, or the men of, Ha-Sava, the army. Ve-Shabru, and they broke or fractured. Et, grammar marker, Shoke, meaning the shins of. Because when we looked up the dictionary, Shoke meaning shins. Ha-Echad, the one. So the shins of the one. With that ending, with the zere and the yod, it can be of, then, the shins of the one. So the translation is, the military men came and broke the legs of the first one. And I've added in there that that's a construct form, especially with this ending. It's a construct form, both of them. So, now we will read it. And it is, Vayavo'u. Anshe ha-Sava, Vayishabru et Shokei ha-Echad. And the translation, and they came, the men of the army, and they broke the shins of the one. And part B, we have a Vav, an Aleph, a Tav, a Shin, Vav, Kuf, Yod, Hey Shin Nun Yod, Hey Nun Zade Lamed Veyet Yod Mem Safit, Ayin Mem Vav. And we read it. The Et and grammar marker show K, the shins of Hashani, the second. Ha-Nitz La Vim, of the ones crucified. Because we can see the root in it, salav, right? Imo, with him. Of the first one, and the legs of the second, who were crucified with him. And now we can read that. Va'et shokei ha-shani ha-nitz lavim imo. And the translation, and with a grammar marker, the shins of the second, of the ones crucified with him. Okay. Now we come to 33, represented with Lamed, and then a Gimel, the third letter of the alphabet. Then we have Vav, Yod, Veyet, Aleph, Vav, Aleph, Lamed, Yod, Hey, Vav, Shin, Ayin, Vav, Yod, Resh, Aleph, Vav, Vav, Hey, Nun, Hey, Mem, Tav, Vav, Lamed, Aleph, Shin, Beyet, Resh, Vav, Aleph, Tav, Shin, Vav, Kuf, Yod, Vav. And now let's read it. Vayavo'u, and they came. Again, the pronoun at the end, which is the most common. They came because of the Vav and the Yod. Et to Yahushua, Vayiru, and they saw. V'hine, and behold, Met, which means dead. He was dead. He was dead. V'lo, and not, Shibru, they broke. Et, grammar marker, Shokev, his shins. Again, the Vav at the end is his. Right, and the normal English, they came to Yeshua and saw him, behold, he was dead, so they did not break his legs. So now we can read that. Vayavo'u el Yahushua vayiru v'hine mat v'lo shibru et shokev. And the translation, and they came to Yahusha, and they saw, and behold, he was dead, and not they broke his shins. And we come to 34 now, and we see it's Lamed Dalet, fourth letter of the alphabet. Then we go Vav, Aleph, Chet, Dalet, Mem, Aleph, Nun, Shin, Yod, Hey, Zadeh, Vayet, Aleph, Dalet, Kuf, Resh, Vav, Vayet, Chet, Nun, Yod, Tav, Vayet, Zadeh, Dalet, Vav, Vav, Yod, Zadeh, Aleph, Dalet, Mem, Sofit, Vav, Mem, Yod, Mem, Sofit. Let's read it now. Ve'echad, and one. Me anshe, meaning the mem is from, anshe, the men of, ha-savar, the army, the karo, pierced him. Now the vav at the end with the o sound is him. So then we look down here and we get dakar, which is a verb to stab, to pierce, or to prick. And then we have vachanit, with a spear. So chanit is spear. Bezido, in his side. Again, the vav is his there. And the root there is zad, masculine noun for side or part. In his side. Vayetse, and came out, because we know yatsa is to go out, right? And came out, because it's a completed action. Dam, blood. Mayim, and water. So, the translation. One of the military men thrust him through with a spear in his side, and blood and water came forth. Now let us read that. Ve'echad me'anshe ha-sava de karo v'chanit bezido va'yetse dam va'mayim. And the translation, and one from the men of the military pierced him with a spear in his side, and came forth blood and water. All right, and we now come to 35 with Lamed and a Hey. Hey is the fifth letter of the alphabet. And then we go through the letters. Vav, Hey, Resh, Aleph, Hey, Zion, Aleph, Tav, Hey, Ayin, Yod, Dalet, Vav, Ayin, Dalet, Vav, Tav, Vav, Kuf, Yod, Mem, Tav, Vav, Hey, Vav, Aleph, Yod, Vav, Dalet, Ayin, Kaf, Yod, Aleph, Mem, Tav. And now let's read it. The Ha-ro-a, and the one seeing, because we've got a Hey in there, and the one seeing, Zot, this, He-id, testified, the eduto, and his testimony, kayamet, endures. So, how do we get that? Down here we've got kayam as an adjective, means to exist, or is living, or endures. And then we have also come, which as a verb, kol verb, means to arise, to be established, to persevere, to endure. So we can sort of see how we get that. Kayamet. And it is then the hu yode'ah So, and he knows, Yodea, ki that emet, truth, that the truth. The one who saw this testified, and his testimony endures, and he knows that the truth. Right, so now let us read that. And it is V'ha ro'eh zot he'id v'eduto kayamet v'hu yodea ki emet. Right. So the one seeing this testified, and his testimony endures, and he knows that the truth. And now we follow with part B, which has a Yod, Gimel, Yod, Dalet. Lamed, Mem, Ayin, Nun Sofit, Gimel, Mem Sofit, Aleph, Tav, Mem Sofit, Tav, Aleph, Mem, Yod, Nun, Vav. And we read it. Yagid, he will tell, because with the Yod there, it's the incomplete action. He will tell, Lema'an, so that, Gam also, Atem, you, and that's the plural you, Ta'aminu, you shall believe. So he knows that the truth he tells, so that you also shall believe. And I've added here higid as the verb to tell, to inform, and he'emin is the verb to believe, to trust. So we can see the roots there. Okay, and we can read that now, which is Yagid le'ma'an gam atem ta'aminu. He will tell, so that also you shall believe. And now, after we've completed that, we now need to see what we remembered from all that, or how our straight translation works. And we have a lamed, which has a value of 30 and a left value of 1. We're in 31. Aha Yehudim, the Jews, Amru, they said, Lo, not Yalinu, they shall stay, Ha Pegarim, the corpses, Al upon Ha Saluv, the crucifixion. And the translation. And Yehudim, they said, not they shall stay the corpses upon the crucifixion. Beyom, in the day, Ha Shabbat, the Sabbath. Ki for Erev, the evening of Shabbat, Haya, it was. For Gadol and great, Yom, the day, we could say, Ha-Shabbat, the Sabbath day, in other words, Ha-Hu, that. Translated, in the day, the Shabbat, for the evening of Shabbat it was, and great the day, the Shabbat, that. And then we have Va-Yish-Alu, and they asked min from Pilatos, Pilate, le shaber, to break, et grammar marker, shokehem, their shins, or the shins of them, ul horid, and to bring down otam, them. And they asked from Pilatos to fracture the shins of them, and to bring down them. And then we turn to Lamed 30 and Vayet 2. So we're in 32. Vayavo'u, and they came. Anshe, meaning men of, or the men of, Ha-Sava, the army, the military. They shabru, and they fractured. Et grammar marker shokei, meaning the shins of Ha-Echad, the one. And they came the men of the army, and they broke, grammar marker, the shins of the one. The et and grammar marker shokei, meaning the shins of ha shani. Shani meaning the second. Ha nit lavim, the ones crucified, imo, with him. And grammar marker, the shins of the second, of the ones crucified with him. And then we have Lamed 30, Gimel 3. Vayavo'u, and they came. L2, Yahushua. Vayiru, and they saw. V'hine, and behold, met, he was dead. V'lo, and not, shibru, they fractured or broke. Et, grammar marker, shokev, his shins. And they came to Yahushua, and they saw, and behold, he was dead. And not they broke, grammar marker, his shins. And then we have Lamed, which is 30, and Dalet 4 in verse 34. Ve'echad, and one me'anshe, from the men of Ha-Savah, the army or the military, the Karo, pierced him, V'chanit, with a spear, Be'sido, in his side, Va'yetse, and came forth, Dam, blood, Va'mayim, and water. The one from the men of the military pierced him with a spear in his side, and came forth blood and water. And then we have Lamed 30, Ahe 5. The Ha-Ro-E, and the one seeing, Zot, this, He-id, his testimony, or testify, he testified, the eduto, and his testimony, kaya met, endures, the who, and he, yodia, knows, ki, that, emet, the truth. And the one seeing this testified, and his testimony endures, and he knows that the truth. Yagid, he will tell. Le'ma'an, so that. Gam, also. Atem, you, plural you. Ta'aminu, you will believe. He will tell, so that also you shall believe. And that brings us finally to our vowel chart, which it's good to always refresh ourselves, remembering that this is, we'll look at the bottom line. This is called a shuruk. So it tells us in the first vowel sound what it sounds like. Shu. So it's oo. And then we have kubutz, and we notice that when we say it here, ku, it sounds longer than shu. So it's ku, it's a longer oo sound. Then we have kataf segal, and therefore this sound is a shorter e sound with the shava there, which breaks up the word. Then we have chirik, the I sound. And then we have kataf patak, short A sound, and then we have kataf kamatz, which is a longer A sound. And then we, of course, have our chart, which hopefully helps us remember the values that we've been going through, and therefore let us look at some of the ones we don't use as much. Zade has a value of 90. Pei, they've got this Pev, but we call it Fei or Pei, has a value of 80. Ayin has a value of 70. Samek has a value of 60. Nun has a value of 50. And Mem has a value of 40. We already were using Lamed as a value of 30, right? But then we have Mem 40, Nun 50, Samek 60, Ayin 70, Fei 80, and Zade 90. And I've repeated the useful resources, and I do pray that you look into looking at these as you practice, because with this one here, it will give you the Hebrew, it'll give you transliteration, and it'll give you their translation, which is pretty close. So we just pray that you are blessed by going through these lessons, and we hope that you continue, because each week we will put up lessons, and we hope these lessons are easy enough for you to follow no matter what stage you're at. And at the end of each chapter, of course, we have revisions for those that are more advanced in the Hebrew. So we just like to thank you for joining us, and we wish you a Shavua Tov in the name of our Master and Savior, Yeshua or Yahusha, however you want to say it. And we pray you have a blessed week. Goodbye.